It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Benny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
And here we are, another week, another Wednesday. Terry TV Brown up in the DSM. Is that the right code, TV?
DSM, that's the mail code for the airport, which is like 2 miles. I don't even know my direction to the west. I have no idea.
Don't ask me nothing about that either.
But what's bizarre is everybody, that's how they give directions. Like, oh, how do I get to the store? Well, you go east and then you turn on the north. And I'm like, I am not Ferdinand Magellan. Can you give me turn at the McDonald's? Can you give me that?
Yeah. After a while, if I'm in a certain, give me a street name. I don't know every street, but give me a decent, popular, well-traveled street. Give me the main drag, something.
Well, but the problem is, for me, is growing up in Louisville, the river is always to the north, right? So to go downtown is to the north. To go back where I was born and raised is the south. And then you got east with the I-64 to go into the east to Lexington, and west. So I'm used to north being the top of the city. Well, the river here is on the east side.
The Mississippi go through there?
No, it's the Des Moines River.
Oh, okay.
It's the Des Moines, the Raccoon, and it's 3 rivers. But look, they call them 3 rivers. But if I can drive by and see the riverbed, it ain't really a river. Like, what? When you talk about rivers, I'm used to the Ohio, Mississippi, even Frankfurt with the Kentucky River. But if I can walk across it, it ain't a river.
You said 3 rivers, of course. No disrespect. My first thought was Pittsburgh,
Right. But it's 3 rivers. 3 rivers meet here.
Okay.
And I'm like, y'all using rivers very liberally here. Because I can walk across it. You can't walk across the Ohio River.
TB slanting those Iowa creeks. Look out. They're coming for you after this drops, man. They're coming for you.
I mean, you ain't even got to be like Moses to walk across these rivers. You just need some waterproof boots. That's all you need.
You ain't got to pull your garments up. You ain't even getting
It's ankle deep. Anyway.
Oh man. We're coming to y'all courtesy of the BS3 Network. You can hear us on Spotify and a wide variety of other podcast platforms. You can see us on Roku, courtesy of the BS3 Network, bs3tvlive.com. Appreciate Ben Sutterth, Ivan Dawkins. Continue to do what they do. The website is just growing. Get articles now. You can read articles. I wrote one about the Cats. Knocked some rust off of writing, TB, and got the writing thing going again. Put an article up there on the site. And some others have put some articles up there. Ben and Ivan covering Dallas Stars games, hockey games, got credentials to that. So doing big stuff, man. So
absolutely,
hit that on your Roku stuff. Click bs3tvlive.com. Click on demand, and you'll scroll down, and you'll find our logo, Cats Talk Wednesday, like on Twitter and Facebook. And then we got shows archived right there. Go back. If you missed last week, go back and watch it. As soon as this one drops, click on there and watch it.
High quality programming.
Yeah, we do our best.
Absolutely.
Man, for sure. So we licked our wounds last week. We on the outside of the tournament looking in, but we got Final Fours. We got random men's participants, and UConn is the big bad Goliath. The women's Final Four up in your neck of the woods has got to be huge news. So
it is huge.
About all that.
It is huge. Today, Caitlin Clark, Naismith, Women's Player of the Year, the second in 4 years for Iowa. They had Megan Gustafson. I can't think of the name. I can't. I hope I'm saying that right. Uh, but a lot of those Gustafsons, a lot of those names here in the Upper Midwest. But the second Naismith Award-winning player from women's basketball, and yeah, it's good stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit. Men's and women's Final Four. We've got the NFL draft getting close. We got NFL free agency. We've got NFL collusion. We've got MLB starting up here in the next day or so, I think.
I think
And
tomorrow.
you know,
Your Niners. That was it. Was it Shanahan said Purdy earned the right to be the starter? If I saw that right, so if that's a good thing going forward with him, even though he might not be ready for the start of the season, but I guess when he gets healthy, he's earned the right to be the starter. So
well, and so talking about NFL, we can jump into that real quick since NFL is like the king of everything. One, there is collusion with Lamar Jackson. We've never seen a dude that good say, "I want out of here," and every other team was like, "Well, hey, it's crazy." Um, it's just a weird situation. I think it would have been better had he had an agent, but Lamar's just built different. Like he's made his money. Obviously, he wants to make more money, but it becomes a thing about respect. I honestly think he will sit out versus play. I just think he's wired differently. And if you're Baltimore and you let that happen, come on. And every time people want to throw out, well, this is why they can't give him that money. It's dumb. If Daniel Jones and his 15 passing touchdowns are worth $40+ million a year to the Giants, come on. Well, he's been hurt a lot. A lot of quarterbacks miss time. And it doesn't matter if they are running quarterbacks or passing quarterbacks. Let me tell you something. I'm a 49ers fan. We've only had like 4 or 5 healthy quarterback seasons in the last decade and a half. That's just the nature of it. I know I've seen people compile all these quotes about other teams talking about Lamar Jackson. And I take umbrage with the 49ers characterization because I do think it's different. Yes, I'm a fan. I'm a little slanted, but bringing in Lamar, and I think Lamar would be fantastic in the offense, right? Like, imagine Lamar at quarterback with McCaffrey behind him, Debo to one side, Ayuk to the other, and here's Kittle and here's Jusic. Like, and then you can move McCaffrey out. Like, just the thought of it. But the 49ers have got here, maybe that's what's bit them in the butt, is they've got 2 quarterbacks they feel confident in on rookie deals.
Yeah.
Therefore, they're allowed to, at this point, to make sure Kittle gets his money, to make sure Debo gets his money. You remember last year before, Debo wanted out.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, they're going to give him his money because they don't have to pay a quarterback right now.
I was hoping. I was like, come on, get out.
So, so for the 49, and you mean they'd rather go with Purdy or Lance? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because again,
they ain't scared.
If we just have a healthy quarterback, like a healthy quarterback gets us to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah. They ain't scared. He ain't. I mean,
so
Shanahan that confident in his ability to bring along a quarterback
and scheme dudes wide open in the NFL. And when you got 2 Swiss Army knives in Debo and CMC in the backfield, that opens everything up. It does. Like, Ayuk, love him, but that dude stays single covered. I saw at one point because he's the number one receiver, right? He was getting his percentage of getting single covered was by far and away the most. And it's like, yeah.
Because Debo a running back? They list him as running back?
He's classified as a wide receiver.
But not the number one.
But he's not the one. So, and that was the issue with how Debo was going to get paid, right? Because it's all based on your position. And he's like, well, your numbers aren't quite good enough to be a one receiver, but you're also running the ball. How do you, what the 49ers do, it's hard to classify, right? Because there's that pay scale for every position, but everybody does everything.
I mean, yes, gotta.
They broke the bank with Jusic. I mean, he's by far and away the highest paid fullback. But look what they ask him to do. Look what he can do, right? So it's hard to look at what the 49ers on offense, how they allocate money, because it's just different, right? They're not paying a top quarterback right now.
Nope.
And you can say, well, that's flawed, and it very well may be, but they're knocking on the door and have a pretty good run doing it the way they've been doing.
And I'll say it. I was wrong. I think it was going into the playoffs last year or the end of the regular season, and I was kind of knocking Shanahan. I was like, man, this genius talk. I mean, this dude right here. I mean, really, you got 28-3, and you got this and that. I said, is he really? And here he's continued to do it, and he's, Jimmy G is not elite. You go down to your fourth string quarterback, and the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
With what was homeboy's name? Josh, who they bring in? Freeman?
Josh Johnson.
Yeah. Wow, Josh Freeman. Oh, wow. Yeah. But so I'll say I was wrong. I'll stand corrected on Shanahan because you were slanted. I was slanted in the complete opposite direction. I was trying to be a hater, and I was slanted from that perspective. But hey, he undoubtedly, and y'all want him to win a Super Bowl, but he's a legit coach, man. And he's not just riding his daddy's coattails. He's legit.
But that being said, my only knock is, and I've seen this, Pastor, you brought 28-3. He was the offensive coordinator for that. Up 10 points with 6 minutes left in the Super Bowl and lost. Up 7 in the NFC Championship game against the Rams in the fourth quarter and lost. So there are some issues when it comes to game end situation. He's got to fix, because if you fix it, and honestly, the whole thing for me was in the Super Bowl, just run the ball. Where Jimmy G does not have to make that third down throw. Now, if he makes it, great, right? Keep the clock running. And I do think at that point, Patrick Mahomes runs out of time.
He made him against Dallas. He didn't make him. He made him against us.
Yeah. So there's some fine tuning, obviously. I think with his in-game kind of clock management. What do we do? Because you can't have those kinds of leads, because you may not get back, right? Like, we talk about windows closing, but I'm satisfied with it. I'm okay. As good as I think it will be, I think they'd have to give up a lot because we don't have the draft capital to get Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So for the 49ers, I don't think it's a matter of piss posh to Lamar. It's the team is just structured a little bit differently. And like you said, if you've got, as long as the quarterbacks stay healthy, we're a playoff team. Like we just rolling out of bed right now with dudes we've added on defense, particularly the guy, I can't think of his name, we signed from the Eagles to be opposite of Bosa. That seems like a nightmare. Fred Warner's going to come back and be healthy. So, we're losing some guys. But for me, I like the way the team's built. But for everybody else, you can't look at your quarterback room and be like, nah, we good. Atlanta, are you kidding me?
Desmond Ridder, baby.
Lamar Jackson in Atlanta, like,
Oh man,
come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you remember peak Michael Vick in Atlanta when they went up to Green Bay and he won in Green Bay, and it was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Nobody
okay.
ever won in the cold up there. And
Was that the? I think that was the first. I think that was the one that. Now everybody wins in Green Bay.
but it had to start with somebody.
It started with Vic, and then like a year or two later, Eli came through there,
Mm-hmm.
and since then everybody's winning.
And then y'all always knocking them out. San Francisco or Green Bay, it don't matter where it is. Y'all winning up there.
Yeah, because I want to say it was like Vic, and then Eli, the first Super Bowl. Yeah, it was because the first year with Alex Smith was still the quarterback, and we beat Green Bay. I think that's how that went. Anyway, the point is, winning Green Bay ain't what it used to be, right?
Mm-hmm. And they were a dome team. Vic was a dome team. Went up to the frozen tundra Lambeau Field.
Yeah, absolutely, I remember that game. So all these other teams being like, "Nah, we're good."
Yeah,
it's just weird. It's just weird.
Like what's Tampa Bay doing? What did they get Baker Mayfield or something?
Yes.
See there.
Yeah. You can't tell me there's interest in these dudes and no interest in Lamar Jackson. None.
Mm-hmm. This is Baker's fourth team? Cleveland, the Rams, Panthers.
Oh yeah, the Panthers.
I mean, just see on his fourth team in 4 years, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Come on now.
And it's not about even using Deshaun Watson as the measuring stick. I mean, just look at what the Giants gave Daniel Jones. Look at the way Kirk Cousins has parlayed being mediocre into guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Daniel Jones was about to get run out of town before this year. So he's had, I mean, patience was thin with him. He had a solid year, made the playoffs, they won a game. Lamar already done all that in an MVP and
yeah.
So come on, yeah.
And people still, well, he needs to learn to throw from the pocket. Then I know you don't watch football because you're not watching the games. The dude is bombs away.
I mean, how Mark Andrews catches 1 million passes every season, and he don't even. Who's his other target? Hollywood Brown. He don't even have anybody.
Well, Hollywood Brown gone. He's in Arizona. Yeah,
he got one good tight end, and what else has he got?
Well, that reminds me too. He's out in Arizona. That's why I'm bullish on the 49ers because it's like it was in the old days. The division is terrible. We got 6 games against the Rams. They out. And every day that passes, I get more angry that the one time he couldn't beat him was NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
In like 8 seasons. Anyway, Seattle, I'm not worried about Seattle. I think it's a mental thing. We back on beating them with regularity. And the Cardinals. So
speak of somebody need a quarterback.
Right.
Kyler hurt and
so the NFL is weird. They want to make a point. I mean, the owners want to make a point against Lamar Jackson, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, if you aren't 6 or 7 teams, maybe, why are you not kicking the tires on Lamar Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you got somebody you really believe in, why not? Like, I can understand Dallas not, right? Because Dak has played good enough to win.
Yeah.
Right? Y'all got other issues to address, right? But some of these teams, it's like you're gonna roll like the Washington, like the command, like they're not interested.
Carson Wentz and forget some dude. What's the dude from North Carolina? The rookie from North Carolina, man.
Indy's not interested.
Yeah.
Like what? Tennessee's not interested. Like, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you got to do. You put Lamar and Derrick Henry in the same backfield, that's problems.
Yeah.
That's problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, seems to be lining up to take advantage of
You would think.
Baltimore's potential misstep, the way they're
But
handling this.
it is what it is at this point. But the NFL, it's crazy. I'm still bullish on my Niners. We're gonna play some good defense and punch teams in the mouth and just be creative as all get out on offense.
So is everybody locked up? Is McCaffrey under contract for a while? Debo just got paid.
Debo got paid. Of course, Bosa, that's going to be a done deal. I want to say it's not until 2025 where Debo gets a big payment and Ayuk gets a big payment, and I don't see him paying both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, Kittle he's got his deal. Again, I think the next year or two would be the window, because let's say that Lance balls out or Purdy balls out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the rookie deals are running. Like, you're going to have to come up with some coin for one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the pressure is going to be on this coming year, to be honest with you. I think this will be the last. This upcoming year will be the last before we've got to start spending money on quarterbacks.
And Lance, I mean, it's probably the pressure on him if he's getting to play before Purdy comes back to kind of show something, because he got hurt, unfortunately, when it was his time to shine. And now Purdy is about to Wally Pippen. And so, hey, you might have a few games before Purdy's completely healthy. Put something on film, as they say. If you're not going to be here, you auditioning for somebody else.
And the thing about Purdy, as I said during the season, like, hey, like, he may not be the reason they're winning, but he's not the reason that they're losing.
Yeah.
And the dudes like him, and that's the one thing I like. Even with Jimmy G, he's got to be the best locker room dude. Because even on the way out, I didn't see nobody with no shade or nothing. Those dudes on both sides of the ball rock with Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And you and I have seen better quarterbacks make smaller mistakes, and there's always whispers, right? In Dallas, there's whispers. I don't know about that. That just comes with it. But I haven't seen anything when it comes to Jimmy G, and I'm like, that would be the one dude I'd be like, look, we are trying our best. They're not even letting this dude pass the ball.
Yeah.
8 passing attempts. Like, anyway.
Yeah. So there's a ton of NFL. We got hit that pretty harder than we thought we would, but oh well. Let's go and get back to the women's Final Four. And I've asked you about Ferens, asked you about Fran McCaffrey. What about, is it Lisa Bluter?
Lisa Bluter, yeah.
Is she a big personality? Is she just under the radar? Has she been there forever, like every other Iowa coach? What's her story?
I think that she has been there for a while. This is why I sent a message to a good friend of the show, Adam Jacoby, but he's actually on his way to Dallas to cover the Final Four. Because he kind of said, if I remember this correctly, they've always been real solid. That's the thing about the Iowa teams, just in general, solid. Like, just solid. And that's okay.
It's like a pickup truck.
Right. They're solid. And let me see. When did she become the coach here? In 2000.
Oh, yeah.
Well, before that, she coached at Drake here in Des Moines from 1990 to 2000. So she's been here in Iowa since 1990.
Wow. Yeah. So they just kept an eye on her while she was at Drake. Yeah, okay, she doing well for 10 years there. Let's bring her on down here.
Yeah, and even before that, she was at St. Ambrose. I'm trying to see where that is. Oh, St. Ambrose is in Davenport, Iowa. So yeah, so she's Iowa through and through and through. But they've just been okay. And they've had they've had great players, but this was the make or break year. This was their first women's Final Four since 93. And so getting over that drought, you've got Caitlin Clark. The question was, can they play good enough defense? Because the offense is there. Against Louisville on Friday night, they had a 5-point halftime lead. I think it was 5-point halftime lead. And then they traded some baskets. Louisville got within one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Caitlin Clark did what we have seen. You name it. Kobe, KD, Mike, LeBron. She just said, that's not happening. And she helps the team go on they went on like a 20-5 run to really open it up. And it's just, she passes the ball so well. She passes people open. A lot of times her teammates just aren't ready for it. You know how you're playing ball and you're like, I'm not even that open. She gets the ball there and they're not ready for it. It's just phenomenal to see the shooting, the passing. She's just tough. She is just tough. And so, the fans here in Iowa, they got a lot to cheer for. She's a pride of Des Moines.
Was there ever any doubt she was going to Iowa? I'm sure there was a big recruiting war. Was it she just automatically, I'm all Hawkeyes because I'm from here, or was she tempted to
No,
go?
as a matter of fact, I asked Adam, and he was like, "No." I mean, she was playing on some of these under 19, under 18, whatever. She actually played on the 2019 under 19 team, coached by Jeff Walls of the University of Louisville.
I thought I heard him say that on the broadcast.
Yeah, and teammates with Haley Van Lith. My understanding is not a lot of friction. Just one of those kinds of things. Like he didn't, whatever.
He didn't play her a lot. Is that what they said? She didn't really get a lot of.
Didn't get a lot of run, but it's hard when you got Paige Beckers and a couple other. So it's understandable. I don't think there's any hard feelings, but that being said, I'm sure it felt good to go to the Final Four, to put up historic numbers, to show up Haley Van Lith in her hometown, and to let Coach Walls know whatever you thought then, this is how it is now. But Adam was saying that it wasn't a slam dunk by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, all the powers wanted her, Connecticut and Stanford, and you name it. Of course, they wanted her, and it was really that they had that. Is it Gustafson? I'm gonna have to Google this and get this right, but she was player of the year when Clark was in high school, and it was one of those things. And I think they made an Elite Eight that year, if I'm not mistaken. So it was basically, you can do this here. And now with NIL, I mean, like I told him on Round of Shots, like, she can come back next year and she could probably make a lot on NIL. And I saw people's eyes. I'm like, I know what y'all think about Iowa, right? I'm like, what's Iowa famous for? Corn. I was like, go to the grocery store, up and down the food aisle. Look what's in everything. Corn syrup, corn this, corn that. Like, corn ethanol's in your car. Like, at one point, my wife was telling me that Iowa had more millionaires per capita than any other state. Like, there's money here. I know we don't think it, but then you start like, well, yeah, corn is in a lot of stuff. Yes, it is. And what do we feed, the cattle and stuff that we eat? Corn. Like that's what they do here. So there's money.
Y'all got both. Y'all got both of those corns on lock in Iowa, right? Y'all got the
Sweet corn and feed corn,
people
absolutely.
corn and the cows corn.
Well, the feed corn, that's what you get out of Nebraska. That's
Okay.
that you can't really eat that corn. That's what they.
Okay.
That's the lamest thing for states to be argued about. But anyway,
Don't y'all do soybeans too in Iowa?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So will they? It's going to be look Friday night against South Carolina. I mean, what can you say about South Carolina and Leah Boston? What you're running out of superlatives. They are like a machine. Who they play? Like I think they played Maryland. Is that who they beat?
Yeah.
And Maryland's scored 75 points, shot 50% from the field, 50% from three, and the game was never competitive.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're good. So a lot of Louisville fans I follow like, oh, South Carolina. South Carolina may get them. They very well may. The trick is with Iowa more than just Caitlin Clark, but because of her, a lot of her teammates get wide open shots, and it's like if they're hitting their wide open shots, South Carolina's going to have to score points. If Aaliyah Boston, South Carolina's got size, right?
Yeah.
And
Aaliyah 6'5", the other girl 6'7".
Right.
I forget her name, but I can't wait to see. I hope. I don't know what Dawn State's going to do, but Bree Beal is just like their, you guard the other team's best player. She's an elite defender. She can score, but everybody just labels her like a defender. I hope to see a lot of her and Caitlin Clark, just lady v lady, just to see. I mean, what Caitlin,
And the issue I think is she's got the range like Steph. So you have to extend your defense so far out. And because she can shoot that shot, you've got to play that kind of pressure defense all the way up the court. Because she got a foul call on Louisville. She drew a foul. She just kind of casually, it was one of those kind of delayed breaks, and she just gets into her shooting motion at the logo, and somebody just reaches. Mentally, you have to be tough to play that, and not only that, she's got enough handles to get by that person. So Iowa spreads the court, and now you have to help, and that's a long way to have to try to help. And that's how Iowa gets a lot of their looks is Caitlin getting a step on whoever's guarding her. And she finds the open person. Now
we scrambling.
Right. Right. And so you've got to be sound. You've got to be, defensively. And she's one of those people. She can do it. I mean, she scored or assisted on 75% of Iowa's points the other night. She can do it. I don't want to say by herself, but she is impactful enough to, if you're trading twos for threes, it's a tough situation. So I don't know. Yes, I want to see Iowa win, but folks may be right. South Carolina is a very, very good team, but it's must-see TV. Plus, you got the other game.
Yeah, which is LSU and Virginia Tech, which that's going to be good too, but it's not going to get any of the billing. And when you got Caitlin versus the champs, essentially, that's definitely going to get the bigger story. They are, like you said, South Carolina is deep. They're undefeated. They're the champs. They got all of this. I like Dawn Staley. I don't. As much as we lose to them lately, and Katie Drzezinski's been laughing at us, I still don't have any animosity towards Dawn Staley and the ladies. The Leah Boston, it seems very likable. she is a machine, and
Yeah.
her game is unbelievable. Their point guards are great too. I mean, they're loaded. So it's gonna be unbelievable, like you said. And Caitlin, the way she plays, you and I both talked about probably the next to the latest episode of Bomani on the right time. We're talking about how horrifying it is to guard Steph because you out there on an island. He's
Yeah.
got enough handles to go either way. And they were saying who's more terrifying, MJ on the wing or Steph on the wing? And Caitlin is similar to Steph in that way because they can make it out there, and you got to get up there and
You got to challenge the shot.
yeah.
Now look, she had a 41-point triple-double putting Louisville out of this tournament. And one of my friends said, well, she might own women's basketball in the state of Kentucky. Playing Kentucky a couple years ago, she went for 35, 7, and 6.
Yeah.
That was her worst performance. Look, man, she's tough. And I just it's I mean, she's got all the hoop heads talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with KD and KD waxing poetic, LeBron, everybody.
Yeah, Magic and all this, and with his simple tweets. But so it should be fun. I'm gonna watch it. I watched a lot of the women's basketball tournament. And look, Louisville, they don't have a lot to hang their heads about.
Yeah, she's done this to others.
And Louisville's women's team, very, very good. I know they've had very good players.
Mm-hmm.
Angel McCartry, a lot of good players have come under there.
Asia Durr,
yeah. The difference that I've seen is when they get to Elite Eight, Final Four, they don't have that person, right? I know they beat Brittany Griner the one year, but they don't have that super duper. I can go get 30 if I need to. Oh, you need 40? I can do that too. That seems to be the difference when they run up against some of these other elite teams. Again, not knocking them, because getting to this point, all the Final Fours and all the Elite Eights that they've been to is fantastic. It's just you need that, as we would say on the men's side, you need that dude, or on the women's side, you need that dudette, that somebody that, all right, I can go do this.
And Van Lith is a bad girl too. I mean, she's another. But just
it's just you caught Caitlin Clark on a night when she was just locked in, and it's one of those things. It's great. You're in trouble. She gets that 10, 12 point first quarter. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. And she shoots free throws good enough. They you try to bump her and rough her up a little bit. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So Adam is headed to Dallas. A lot of Iowa was in Seattle, and now they got to roll down to Dallas for the Final Four against defending champs. And Dallas was just in. Adam was just in Birmingham. Now he's in Big D. So he's getting
Iowa fans travel. I was on Round of Shots talking with Dr. John Wong, just because he was just talking about what we have discussed. Like, hey, Kentucky had Ryan Howard, and a lot of people were kind of meh, right? Like, I think I have said I don't think we appreciated how good she was, because Memorial Coliseum should have been more full when she was playing. And I was just telling him, I'm like, no, the women's basketball has been a tough ticket. Like when Adam and I went and saw her play last year, it was one of those, he had to ask around to get the tickets. Like, it's a tough ticket to get for women's basketball. And Iowa fans, they travel.
Yeah, it was rolling deep up there in the Pacific Northwest.
Whether it's a bowl game, for football, or don't even get started about wrestling, but that's still king of the mountain here. They travel really well. So I don't know. I hope Iowa, but you're going to have to, somebody's going to have to knock South Carolina out because you're not going to win on points. You're not going to win on a decision. You're not going to get a TKO. You got to knock them out.
Yeah. And even though South Carolina they're the baddest one on the block right now, Ohio State did that to UConn, which is the first time they weren't in the Elite Eight in 11 years. And
Yeah.
Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech, but still they had to knock UConn out, and it was still a surprise to see it, even though
absolutely.
They're not quite what they were. This is a quote down year for UConn,
right?
But it still took a big time game for Ohio State. And then I watched Ohio State and Virginia Tech, which was a good game too. A lot of back and forth. Like I said, been a lot of good games. On the women's side.
There's been great games on the women's side, great game on the men's side. Look, when it comes to the men's side, I think for me, let's not read into anything. And what I mean by that is everybody that's proclaiming the world has changed, right? Because we've got no blue bloods in the Final Four. And I'm like, just last year, it was nothing but blue bloods. So what are we doing? And yes, it's been down for Kentucky, and we don't need to rehash that. North Carolina, except for a month, has been terrible for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Duke isn't Duke. Whatever, read into it what you will. Kansas got the chip last year, but Kansas has not looked like Kansas. They had that 3-game losing streak, before they beat us this year. And so there's just a lot of factors out there. I think the COVID year is playing a big role. I mean, the dude that balled out against Kentucky, like he's 23.
Oh, Noel.
Like, yeah, you got a 23-year-old playing against an 18-year-old. Yeah. So a lot of these teams with these old dudes, like, what are we doing?
Yeah. It's just backlogged everything.
And so I think it's going to take a little time to get that out, NIL and all that kind of stuff. A lot of these dudes, it's time to move on to whatever the next phase is. Like they say, go get your CDL or something, So you got a lot of 22, 23, 24-year-olds playing college basketball.
Got backlogged a little bit. So yeah.
That's how it's all messed up when Kentucky is only starting one or two freshmen, one of the oldest teams in the country, or one of the oldest Kentucky teams, and we're still not the oldest team in the country. So I am not ready to just say blue bloods are done. It's going to be wide open, but this is what people say they want, right? This is what they say they want. This is what the tournament's supposed to be, wide open. All these upsets. This is what we want to see. Well, you better watch this Final Four. And, I'm not trying to be one of these people rain on the parade. Like, I'm still going to watch.
Oh, yeah.
But I just don't think that the Final Four is everything except the Super Bowl is very team specific. Right? It depends on who's playing. Super Bowl's going to do numbers, and it doesn't matter. Right? Like, what was that? The Super Bowl game doesn't even have to be good.
No.
Remember the Rams, Patriots a few years ago? What was that, 10-3?
Yeah, 13-3. Pitiful.
Like,
we all sat there and just kept waiting for something.
Yeah, because it's a Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl has that cachet, right?
Well, it's the fourth quarter. Ain't nothing happened. We still sitting here.
The World Series used to be that as well, right? Like World Series. I had to stop and think, who won the World Series this past year?
Uh-oh.
It was the Astros. I had to think.
Oh, that's right. Dusty.
Yeah, I had to.
Mhm.
But you used to, but
It was
when it comes to
huge.
college sports, particularly the Final Four, you got to have somebody and Connecticut is not that team. Connecticut has a blue blood resume that just ain't hitting. They could very well have their 5th championship in 25 years, more than anybody else.
Yeah.
The problem is they are doo otherwise. That's the problem.
Yep.
Connecticut doesn't matter. Connecticut is the college basketball version of the Marlins. When they really trying, they compete for a championship. Otherwise, they have been dreadful since 2014.
Yeah.
Dreadful.
Yeah. Yeah. They.
And all of a sudden, they back at it and they may win another one. Like, that's wild. But and I think people get caught up in when they talk about blue bloods when it comes to college basketball. It's not numbers. Numbers are part of the story, right? But UConn's got all these championships, and what you maybe remember, the little guy. You know what I'm talking about, the little guard.
Khalid El-Amin.
No, the one that won the championship. You know what I'm talking about?
Shabazz Napier, Boatwright.
No, it was he. You naming it, but I'm talking about.
Oh shoot. Shabazz Napier, Boatwright.
Kemba Walker, right?
Oh yeah.
We remember that play where he put the big dude for Pitt on his butt.
Oh,
but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that memory, right? In the collective consciousness. And then there's the Ray Allen, Allen Iverson 96 Big East final going back and forth. And that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of where UConn has mattered.
Real.
UConn is not a measuring stick program. It just isn't. Where, beating Kentucky still means something.
Yeah.
People can say what they want to. They down, they blah, 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 blah. And like I said, every time I'm watching one of these documentaries, the one on the Fab Five, when Jalen Rose is like, when we beat MASH and them in the Final Four, we wasn't even thinking about North Carolina in the championship game. We had beat the Mountain. Because remember in '93, that Kentucky team was hot. They went into the Final Four, blowing everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that team was fun, right?
Yep.
And then Nolan Richardson in his documentary, The 40 Minutes of Hell, when that 94 team went into Rupp Arena and beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena, he said, y'all can win a championship. It still means things. We can pretend, I know people hate when Cal's like, oh, we're everybody's Super Bowl. Like, oh, the Super Bowl happens every week. Beating Kentucky means something. When teams stop doing like you've talked about and have these big celebrations, when Kentucky comes to town, at that point, I'll be like, all right, we can stop. But if we go to Tennessee and they got to trot out Allen Houston, they got to trot out Bernard King and all this kind of stuff, and you go down to Florida and they got to bring their champions back for some celebration, and you go down to Georgia, here's Dominique, go down to Auburn, here's Charles Barkley, until they stop doing that. All right. Alabama, I don't know if they bring back Latrell, but anyway, Shaq in the house at LSU and whatnot.
Robert Horry, I guess.
Robert Horry, man.
Back some.
But we'll see. So you got Connecticut, Miami, or Florida. Give Jim Larrañaga a bunch of credit. When you look at the dudes that have taken 2 teams to the Final Four, Miami or Florida, basketball, and George Mason, that should get you into the Hall of Fame. I don't care what else you've done. That should get you in.
Yeah.
Because that's 2 places. Because, Patino and Cal doing it, Roy Williams doing it. Yeah. Oh, you had to take Kansas, North Carolina Final Four. Tough job. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But George Mason and Miami and Florida. Okay. That gets you into the club of very, very good coaches. San Diego State. Man, I watched a little bit of the Mountain West Championship. They played, I think, Utah State. It was one of those weird things on CBS, and I was like, I watched a little bit of it, but I did not think I'm looking at a Final Four team. I just thought I'm looking at the team that Kawhi Leonard played for.
Yeah.
So who knows? And FAU, I don't know. I ain't gonna pretend to try to scout these teams. But everybody that says, the tournament, it's wide open. Hey, you better watch. You better watch. Because, and that's the thing that hits me too. When people tweet out and they say stuff on TV, well, Adam Silver would really like for a New York Knicks, LA Lakers finals. Yeah. Yes.
Two biggest markets in the country. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we'd want that. Vinny, have you seen the numbers when your Cowboys and my 49ers play? They do big numbers. People can say, who cares about them Cowboys? Yeah, people still watch, right? So, yes, every commissioner, every whoever, you got dream scenarios. I had to try to tell some Kentucky fans, like, the SEC wants Kentucky out of the tournament, or the SEC tournament. No, they don't. No. The dream scenario is Kentucky playing in every Sunday championship game. I have been in Nashville when Kentucky loses on Saturday, and it's a ghost town. And then you watch the game on Sunday, and there's nobody there.
It's like Wednesday night all over again.
Right.
We got Missouri and Ole Miss out there starting things off.
Man, like I told you, look, I'll be damned if I go watch a Wednesday night SEC tournament game.
Man, that clip that you tweeted out, how we look at them.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, y'all play on Wednesday night? When did the tournament start? Like, ooh.
And those British people that you had.
Man. Yeah, I'm looking down my nose. And they had people, I tweeted it out, and people responding, well, Kentucky lost. That may very well be, but we ain't playing on Wednesday and Thursday. That's not happening, right? Like, even on our worst, we're not playing on those days, all right?
This Wednesday riffraff, what is this?
Playing on a Wednesday day. I told you, man, when I covered the tournament down there, I can't remember who the media person, what team he was covering. Well, that Friday, you get there and you get your passes and all this kind of stuff. You get the lay of the land. And he's like, all you Kentucky folks, the tournament starts on Wednesday. And you know what I said? I quote Jermaine Dupri. The party don't start until I walk in, and I usually don't leave until the thing ends. Like, why would it? What? I love basketball, but not enough to be sitting there for Missouri Vanderbilt on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. But we'll see what the Final Four, right? Like, it could be fun. It could be a memorable one. But my whole thing was, the landscape has changed. Landscape's always changing. Yeah. We got NIL. Look, Kentucky's Kentucky. You and I have talked about this. Because whatever the parameters are for college basketball, Kentucky has figured it out and excelled. Whatever the parameters are. When they say, we want all white people to play. We were good. When they're like, you know what? The Negroes can play. We won a championship. We're going to do this thing called the 3-point shot. Win a championship. What's the recipe? Load up with 8 NBA players. Here we go, competing for a championship. One and done. That's the new thing. Like, whatever happens, Kentucky's going to be at the forefront. And just because you got a lot of folks, want to take their shots, Paul Feinbaum, Cal's not long for the job. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Like, this is not the job where you get a farewell tour.
Yeah.
The pressure's going to be on for Cal next year.
Yeah, and these look, this class, and I didn't watch the McDonald's All-Star game, but you got the highly touted guys coming in. The pressure's on them. They can't wait to get to Lexington. The pressure bless Reed Shepherd's heart, but he being from Kentucky, we already know how that's gonna be. We saw Dante Allen. You Jeff Shepard's boy coming in here now.
I'm not ready for I'm glad we got a little bit of time so I can build up for the Reed Shepherd stuff.
Oh, come on now.
Plays the right way. Like I've seen all these tweets. They checking a lot of boxes here. Can we talk about it? He's a gym rat. He's a coach on the. Come on now. Like, we doing that?
IQ's off the charts.
Oh, he got a good basketball IQ. He's always hustling. Like y'all, he's got that lunch pail mentality. And the crazy thing about that is Jeff Shepard he's on that short list of great athletes to play basketball at Kentucky. Like, yeah, his basketball IQ, all that, but Jeff Shepard could jump out of the gym.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's right there with Rex. Well, like most athletic. I mean, we could go down the list. I mean, DA, Kalin Azubuike.
Azubuike's a dude I think that gets forgotten about.
Yeah.
Because he had a dunk. I can't remember who it was against now. Caught the rebound, caught it off his hip, and brought it up. I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. Look, so I'm excited for next year's team. Like we said last week before, I can't sit here and think of dream lineups and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. The roster will be the roster. Mm-hmm. We're getting these guys in. I think for me, the good thing is you've got Reed Shepherd. His family understand what it means to play at Kentucky, and it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be good for his transition. And
yes,
I flipped by the game. I saw they were interviewing Milt Wagner, and I felt 95 years old because I remember Vinny as a youngster rooting for Milt Wagner.
How you think Milt must have felt?
But I'm like,
if we feel at 95, Milt must feel 160.
But I'm like, I am rooting for his grandson. I see a lot of these younger Kentucky fans, like they remember DeJuan at Memphis, and I'm like, no. Growing up, he hit those free throws to ice the 1986 championship game against Duke, and that's how every little kid in my neighborhood, that's what we was doing, man. That's the free throw line, 72-69. We knew this, man. And here I am rooting for his grandson. But the interview, I don't know if you saw it. The sideline reporter asked Milt how he felt about his grandson going to Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Woo! Well, yeah. He was very diplomatic in his response, but I'm like, woo! That's spicy right there. That's
hot button.
That's got to be. But look, next year, the Cats will be back. I think we're going to be bringing enough dudes back. I think Reeves is going to come back. That's great. Mm-hmm. I think if Livingston comes back, that's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel confident that we got those dogs back. I don't think it's going to be a situation. And honestly, it was the defense that did this year's team in. There's just no rim protector. That wasn't Oscar's forte, and you really couldn't play Oscar with
Hugo
or Collins. That just didn't work. And probably I can't remember. You see stuff on Twitter, and you look at blocks per game. Kentucky's ranked, and when we're good. Top 10, except for 2014, and that team was just whatever. Like, I look back on that team, I'm like, I don't know how they got to the championship game, but anyway, you got to have that elite rim protector, and I think we'll have that next year. And so I feel good, but I'm not going to spend this summer writing 1,000-word, 5,000-word columns on who's going to play what, where, and how Cal should play. I got too much going on, man.
Like you said you don't have time for the dream lineups and this. I'm the same way with the style of play. You can talk all you want about modern basketball. We see how it worked for Nate Oates, but modern basketball and all this, that, and the other, and 5 out, 4 out, 2 bigs. You can wish whatever you want, and if he puts Hugo and Bradshaw and all them out, he gonna do whatever. It don't matter what you wish. It's
the name of the game is for basketball. Can you put the ball in the hoop? That's all it is. In its simple essence. And you have to have a plan B. And Alabama shot 20% from 3, shot under 50% in layups in that San Diego State. You got to have a plan B. You got to have you can't just abdicate whole portions of the floor, because basketball at every championship level. Remember we had I can't your buddy, the coach there in your neck of the woods.
Oh, Coach Cal.
Yeah. Coach Cal. And basketball, more times than not, turns into go get a bucket. Like, that's what it turns into. Scheme, whatever, go get a bucket. If you can hit a 3, great. If you can get to the hoop, great. If you can dream shake, great. Like, put the ball in the bucket. And you look at these you look at teams that win at every level, and it's people that can put the ball in the bucket all over the place. Yeah, Steph can hit the threes, and we talk about his range. He's very effective in the mid game. Kevin Durant, very effective in the mid game. Yeah.
Go check him out tonight when he makes his return from that freak injury.
So, yeah. But teams that play this all layups and threes, and I don't mean to bring this up, but you are a Rockets fan, like you have to stop basing this philosophy on what the Golden State Warriors do. Steph is an alien, and Clay is top 5 shooter of all time. Like, you ain't got those people, right? Like, you ain't got them. So you can't just be playing ball like that. That's my only thing. And
personnel.
There's just all these people. Cal never changes, and I've pointed out, yes, he has. Just because your favorite personality is telling you he hasn't changed, the offense that he ran with John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins wasn't the high pick and roll that he ran with Brandon Knight and Jorts that year, with Liggins and Miller and Deron Lamb opposite side. That it's not the same thing. I rewatched a little bit of the that Ohio State game, and keep in mind, Brandon Knight played terrible. Like, he shot the ball terrible that game. You know who the leading scorer was? Liggins. I forgot he had 19 points. Like, but it was that high pick and roll action off that. They went Stockton to Malone. I know, Malone. I know, but they went and that was the offense, right?
We can get a better comp. We'll replace that. But
yeah. The stuff they were doing in 2014 was dramatically different.
Yeah.
2015, I mean, it didn't matter what they did.
Yeah.
But you got De'Aaron Fox keep the ball in his hands in 2017. Or, Cal was like, Scal isn't what I thought. He couldn't figure out how to really use them. And, hey, Tyler, Jamal, y'all got to do it. Right? So this notion he doesn't change. You know, round of shots, we were talking about it, and somebody put in the chat, you know, Cal without you know, Robic and some assistants, he's just mediocre. And look, I've said it, I'm gonna keep saying it. Stop pretending that he's just started coaching when he got to Kentucky. My man Corey Price talked about FAU. I don't know if you saw this tweet over the weekend. The list of mid-majors to win 35 games and make it to the Final Four.
Yeah.
5 teams. FAU, and then UNLV, and I consider them a mid, you know, because they're in the Big West. You know, they're mid-major. And then it was, I can't remember the 5th team, but it was UMass in 96 and Memphis in 08. And so I asked him on Round of Shots, you've given me 5 examples, 2 of which is 40%,
sure is.
coached by one person. And I said, now, or are you the stat man? Can you tell me who the head coach was of the 96 UMass Minutemen and the 2008 Memphis Tigers? He said, John Vincent Calipari. I said, thank you. We've got, like, if he doesn't have all the talent, and again, I keep saying it, I know you get tired of hearing me. In 1996, he gave the best team I ever saw, best collegiate team I ever saw. He went 1-1 with 8 NBA stars.
Sure did.
Well, stars, but 8 NBA players.
Right.
But still, 8 like dudes that got run. He had one dude and a bunch of people that went pro and something else.
Yeah.
Went to the Final Four, was number 1 all year. Keep in mind, Kentucky was not number 1 in the AP poll that season. And you're telling me that dude can't coach. Anyway, I wish we would just stop pretending like he just showed up and all that. My favorite new discourse, Vinny, on the Kentucky Twitter is 2015 and how stressful it was. So we've not only talked about how bad in 2015, they didn't enjoy 2015 because watching felt like a chore because we're waiting on Kentucky to lose. Look, man, the easiest thing I've done in my sporting life, the easiest thing, and this is me saying, watching the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, rooting for Montana and Rice at their peak when they went 14-2 in 89 or 90. The easiest thing I've ever done in my sporting life is root for the 38-win Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah.
And I don't want to tell people how to fan. I don't. I refuse to believe that on game 29, whatever game that was, you sat and watched like, you know what? This could be the one they lose. I refuse to believe it. I refuse. I refuse to believe. Well, got to tune in and see if this is the one they lose. I refuse to believe it.
As a Kentucky fan, right. Yeah.
I refuse to believe it.
Yeah. It was out there. It was out there, you know, PTI.
But as a Kentucky fan,
right. That's
I'm
the
like,
difference. That's the
and people are like, well, you know, we only won by 2 at LSU, and that Texas A&M went to overtime, and I think Georgia went to overtime. I'm like, I'm sitting there like watching one of these old Batman serial, like, oh no, the Cats is down 5 with 2 minutes left. How are they gonna get out of this one? I'm like, oh, well, they did it again. Like, what? I refuse to believe people were miserable for the last 2 months of that season.
And
like,
Ole Miss at home was a little nail biter.
Yeah, Moody went off, right? Like, and I think he got cramps or something because they might have lost that game, right? I think, I was there at that one. Look, okay, fine. There were near misses, and you knew at some point they had to lose. That is not why you sat down, and I refuse to believe it that it was agony once we got to 30 straight wins. I refuse. Because we was beating the brakes off a lot of teams. That's the 41-7 game. That is just like, what? Come on, man. Just be disappointed.
Yeah.
The ending was disappointed. The ride was fun as hell. 38-0. Yeah. Watching that Wisconsin game, it was tough because you could taste that 40-0, right?
Yeah.
You got by Notre Dame by the skin of your teeth, like, all right. And I'm thinking, okay, that's the scare, right?
Yeah.
You have a scare on the way to a championship. Okay, cool. That's what I thought. But I'm not sitting here like, I'm going to watch. They might lose. And I refuse to believe it. I was here for that. I refuse to believe it.
That's revisionist history right there.
Because you want to be miserable. Like, no. Watching that, no. Absolutely not. I mean,
that was,
it's
there's been some years where maybe it's tough to watch when things get stale with Tubby, the Billy years when you turn it on.
Now that I'm like,
the 9-16, you turn on TV. But 38-0, you should have been. Oh, here we go. You were anxiously awaiting. All right, 20-0, 21-0. Oh, we playing again. You was excited to get in front of the TV.
I'm waiting for folks our age to talk about, man, that 96 squad. It was great, but they had the game against LSU, but man, I was waiting for them to lose. No.
And to your point, you mentioned Cal going 1-1 against that team. That grade 8 loss to UMass, they hung 92 on Kentucky, 92-82.
Yeah.
So he hung 92 on Dilk and DA and like you mentioned, the 8 NBA teams. They dropped 92 on Kentucky in November, man.
Yeah. And really, like I've always said about that 96 team, the Final Four games were two of their worst games they played all year. If you rewatch that the semifinal against UMass, things fell apart, and Anthony Epps had to scoop things up.
Yeah.
Right? And if it wasn't for Ron Mercer's 20 against Syracuse, that goes differently, right? So I don't know, but I've seen that because Kyle Tucker was like his whole thing, my whole thing. 2015 broke you as a fan. Like, just say it out loud, man. My team didn't go undefeated, and so I stopped caring. You don't got to look. I've been very upfront. I used to take sports way too serious. Way too serious. It changed for me. I'll tell you when it changed. In 2006, Vinny. That was that Rondo team, right? That there was a lot going on off the court, right? And they lost to some games they shouldn't have lost, and they were 8 or 9 seed and played number 1 Connecticut and only lost by 4. And I wasn't so much upset about the loss. I'm like, y'all could have been playing like this all year. Game ends. I am mad. Well, during the game, Big Miss is 1, a little older, 14 months, whatever. She's been begging me to play whatever. Dolls is whatever. I'm like, when the game's over. Game ends. I'm hot, right? Man, Kentucky ruining my day. They could have played like this all the year. They would have been a 3 seed if they, and I'm going through it. And she comes up, she said, can we play now? That was my light bulb moment. It was never, we didn't go undefeated. We had a shot at hit. It was never that. It wasn't 97 when it's like, we lost in overtime. And then in retrospect, that could have been a 3-peat, right? Okay. It wasn't ever a loss. And I'm like, did people do this with the Christian Laettner thing? God, I just don't care enough. No, what are we doing, man? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And so to put a bow on all that, let me just say, we've now come full circle. When Cal got here, it was, you can't win a championship playing a bunch of freshmen. And, you look at the Fab Five, they got close, right? Other teams with freshmen got close, but you can't win depending on freshmen. That's what everybody said. And then by 2014 and 15, it was, you probably should have won more.
Yeah.
With all that talent. But you just said you couldn't win with freshmen, and we went for Final Fours and but And now, because you're letting 23-year-olds play, I don't think freshmen do it. Yeah, it's a tough order to ask an 18-year-old to go against a 23-year-old. Yes, that is yes, that is a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want number one, I want Kentucky to win everything all the time. I want Kentucky to do well because I need really swaggy Cal. I really need Cal at a Final Four. That's what I need in my life at this point.
Yeah.
For people inside and outside, I need him back in the Final Four to have the last word on this.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And it'll be, like you said, it'll be a lot of pressure, and we'll see how he manages it and handles it, and you know the way things end at Kentucky, and the whole angst of the portions of the fan base,
Yeah.
so it's all that stuff is coming to a head this coming season, and we, like you say, he hasn't forgotten how to coach. A lot of people want to say that anyway, and those people have been wanting to say stuff from the jump. So
Well, yeah, and that's my whole thing. The loudest voices in the room are the ones talking about 2015 broke them. So I can't listen to what you say.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was miserable that whole season. Come on, man. Like if you were miserable this year and you're miserable in 2015, come on. You just want to be miserable.
Right. If both of those years, last year and that year, both feel the same to them, then yeah, we can't do nothing for you.
Last year's team again had a bad finish, had a great regular season. They were a 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but you know how folks are. Everybody want to be miserable and all that kind of stuff. What else we say we're going to talk about?
Man,
I didn't mean to rant about
no, we good, man. We good. Did you ever speak on Kyrie? Because BS3 Network is out of Texas, pretty much out of Dallas, and a lot of us Mav fans. No disrespect, I can't stand the Mavericks. And when Kyrie was brought in, I think I remember tweeting out, let's see how everybody feels a couple months from now. And there's been some injury, but they have just tumbled down the standings and are barely hanging on for the play-in now. And I can't say I'm surprised at all.
This is not on Kyrie.
No,
that's the low hanging fruit,
right?
Because Kyrie, he's not doing his Kyrie things. As a basketball player, he's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
He's still an elite basketball player.
He is.
And, he has shared the ball. A lot of people are like, well, there's only going to be one basketball. Well, LeBron was the ball handler in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And when your boy Harden got to the Nets, he was the ball handler. And Kyrie played off of that. The issue is, outside of Kyrie and Luka, the Mavericks aren't good.
That's what I'm saying.
Like we when you look at the Mavericks' history since Mark Cuban owned them, besides adding Kyrie, who else have they added to their superstar? Like I told you, Dirk Nowitzki only played with one All-Star after Nash got traded, and that was Josh Howard.
Just insane.
Yeah, they got a bunch of they ended up with Jason Kidd and I think Sean Marion on that 2011 team, but they were past their prime. That was basically showing how good Dirk was, which I think he may be a little bit underrated historically. But the Mavericks aren't a good organization, and so adding Kyrie, like I said, I don't think that Kyrie had anything to do with this.
But did you think that that would be like, oh, look out when they made the move? Your initial reaction? Did you?
There was just not enough pieces.
Yeah,
there's not enough pieces left. It was one of those things. It's like, okay, if you are going to do that, one, I don't think you can build a team like that anymore. What I mean is, as I've told you about the Lakers historically, give us 2 top 10, top 15 dudes, and we will figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can do that anymore because right now you need to have 3 or 4 ballers on the team.
Yep.
Right? Love AC Green. He's not playing in this NBA. Right?
No.
So, going with the 2, and even the Shaq and Kobe years, like, you talked about Robert Ory was good. Got a year out of Glenn Rice, right? Mitch Richmond, Brian Shaw, good. Ron Harper, right? Like Rick Fox, serviceable. Well, you need, if your plan is we're going to have 2 super duper stars, you got to have other dudes to fill in the roles at a high level, not just role players, but play at a high level. Shaq and Kobe during those runs, like, hey, we're going to combine for 70.
Yep.
Y'all got to get 20. Because that, you could win a 90-point game in the early 2000s, right? That was the plan.
Yep.
Shaq would, be the battering ram. Kobe was the scalpel, but you needed Big Shot Bob. That ball come out to him against, the Kings. Boom. Like, you've got to have those kinds of, and the Mavericks just don't have that. So it's going to be easy to talk about, but Kyrie, from what I've seen, he hasn't said anything crazy.
No, I don't think so.
He hasn't done anything crazy.
No, you're right.
And when it comes to basketball, like, Kyrie is still good. It's never been about basketball with Kyrie. It's been when that dude told us the earth was flat. When he starts talking, that's when it's like, oh, okay. But it's never really, again, it's basketball. He's not a point guard. Yeah, I've always said 80% of his assists are accidental. It just happens.
See, I don't know if it was, and so with him not doing his normal stuff, really great, but that only lasts for so long. He eventually will, and they already struggling before he does what he does. So it's just a bad recipe. Like I said, there's not enough to go, not enough there, and he hasn't become disgruntled or feeling disrespected or whatever he's gonna feel here in a little bit when the newness wears off.
Right. And the thing about the Western Conference, there's been 8 teams within 3 or 4 games of each other all year. And that's my whole thing with the Lakers. Like, just put 3 games together. Right? Just give me 3 games. That's all I'm asking. Because that 3 or 4 game winning streak, you're out of the play-in game.
Yep.
So, I don't know what's going to happen with the Lakers, but with LeBron coming back, he's not 100%, obviously. I just think it's a tough ask for a deep run, but, I think realistically, unless Anthony Davis goes Super Saiyan, I think is what the kids say, whatever. I just want him to win a playoff series. And then see. If it's a situation where you don't have to do the play-ins, right? You get to the 6, you don't have to you get a little bit of rest, right? You catch. That's what I was going to look real quick.
The standings.
Look at the standings.
The Pelicans and the Wolves and
right now the
Warriors.
3 seed is Sacramento. So, you get a scenario, you get to the 6 seed, you rest up a little bit. I know the Kings are good, but hey, get a 4-1, get a 4-1 lead, play to get that rest, right? Like, yeah, I know I'm looking at it with purple and gold glasses, but
y'all beating the Kings in 5. Okay.
I'm,
Right.
and I love look, and I love Monk and Fox.
Yeah.
But it's a young team.
That playoff medal.
Right. That they're a young team, so but we'll see. We'll see. I'm a root the Lakers on. They've got some role players. Vanderbilt playing very well. One of those dudes. I wish we would have seen him healthy in Lexington.
Yeah.
And
see, a lot of people use the people throw that up at Cal. People throw Shaden Sharp up about Cal. Those are maybe those are the same people that say 38-1 broke me. But you get
weird stuff happens.
Yeah.
And
now
so
this severe Wheeler stuff, and so there's been some freak stuff. You haven't had felonies and misdemeanors and murders and stuff like you see at other places, but you have some weird situations that didn't go the way that they had hoped, and that gets lumped in on them too.
And there's weird situations all over the country. I beg people. I know we're all Kentucky focused.
And chemistry issues.
But every program has got what is going on. People get hurt. People leave. People like the Shaden Sharp thing is just a one-off. Like that's no pattern. They try to make it a pattern. It's not a pattern. We've just had to deal with a lot of injuries.
Nope.
That's one of those things is we didn't use when we were winning, we didn't have a lot of injuries. that goes with it.
Staying healthy.
Injuries kind of preclude you from going deep. Like look, the margins are thin.
Yeah.
And when it comes to sports, we don't like to think that there's luck involved. And there absolutely is. In 2012, in the Elite Eight, Anthony Davis is going to go block a shot against Baylor. He falls into the crowd, and he grabs his knee.
Sure did.
And I don't know where you were, but where I was, we all gasped. It was like out of a TV show. It was like, oh, no. Not like this. Like the game, I want to say the game was in hand. We would have beaten Baylor and gone to the Final Four. But going without Anthony Davis,
you knew that was like I said. There goes the.
It's not going to happen, right? Like
no way.
It's one of those things.
We love Eloy Vargas, but
it's that's a drop down, and they tell you the same thing, and it's just when you look back at even the best Kentucky teams, how many games, how many championship runs, deep runs, it comes down to one shot. One way or the other.
Yo.
If Leitner misses, what happens? Right?
Final Four and who knows?
What happens? If Aaron Harrison misses any of those.
For real.
Fred VanVleet got the shot up, right? 1998, overtime in the Final Four against Stanford. Pete Sowers, last second heave, hit the rim of the backboard, and I was like, oh. I mean, you don't think it, but like it comes down to that. Right? So there's luck involved in all of that. Not so much, in the NBA because of the series and all, but it's the margins are so thin.
Bounce here or there, boy.
Right? Like it
literally
a missed shot.
Gordon Hayward almost banked it in to beat Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch the '97 game. But remember, Anthony Epps hit the 3 to send the game into overtime, and I want to say he missed one, and then Arizona got like that kind of stuff.
Swing, yeah.
But again, and we talked about this on Round of Shots. This is not a Cal only thing. Every big time coach has at least 3 or 4 teams where you look back and you're just like, how'd y'all not win?
Yeah.
Even Jerry Tarkanian, I don't know how the 91 team didn't win.
Yeah. I can't believe it. I still can't believe they let that Duke team beat them.
Yeah, that was the one that got over the hump. But just, every team has every program has 1 or 2 teams where, hey, this is our year. We got it. We got it. We got the coaching. We got the dude. We got it. And it just doesn't happen.
So this weekend, I hope, even though the UConn's a thorn in our side, I just hope, as weird as this one is, just let one of these first timers win it. Let FAU win it. Let San Diego State win it. Let Miami win it. Jim Larinaga, like you said, was there 17 years ago. He's back again. He's 73 years old. Let that man, win 2 more and get him a championship.
Yeah.
Terry Hansen, who we had on here from the John Boy and Billy show, and he was at TBS when they did the Dream Game in '83 and all that. He sent me a link for a story 6-7 years ago about Larinaga, who an old guy had played for Miami in the 40s. I think World War II veteran, was sick nearing the end, and Larinaga found out about it. Like his daughter wrote him a letter. Larinaga calls him, never met him, didn't know anything about him, finds out what position he played, how tall he was, took a personal interest, and dedicated the game the next day to this older gentleman who was in bad health. They go out and beat Duke by 15, and it just made his day. So Larinaga a great dude, and he remembers people going out of his way to make sure his dad got the care he needed, and he kind of pays that kind of stuff forward. So real likable guy, a lifer, if you will, been in the game forever. We're old enough to remember his George Mason run, and now here he is 2 decades later doing it again, like you said, at Miami. So to take those 2 to the Final Four, like you said, wouldn't hurt my feelings to see him win one. FAU, San Diego State, whoever. I mean, UConn's won, 4 or 5 already. So
they won 4. They're going for 5.
That's enough. They don't need another one.
Let me switching gears here. This is why the internet was a mistake. I came across this today, and this person, first of all, Time Magazine said that Bad Bunny is a legitimate heir to the Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson, or Beyonce throne. One, that's dumb as hell. Like, I don't know a Bad Bunny song. I know I'm old, but my point is, my mama know a Beyonce song. My dad called her Bounce. He knew a Beyonce song.
Your dad was still accurate.
He called her Bounce. I tried to correct him. He corrected me.
And
then, like, Frank Sinatra, like, everybody, like, there's people that are good in their genre of music, and that's good for them. Then there are that Hall of Fame caliber artist that transcends. That ain't Bad Bunny. All right. So that started it off being dumb. But the quote tweet says, a bit off the topic, but let's be real. MJ is only considered a legend due to his success, which is a dumb state. Only because of his success. And the sentence keeps going, Vinny. You thought that was the end. This person says he really didn't do anything for music itself or pop culture.
Talking about MJ, is it Michael Jackson?
He really didn't do anything for music itself or pop culture. Okay. And so I saw this, and I had a in my mind. I'm like, I'm thinking, what? Well, I tweeted out just what was this person talking about? Because I'm like, he perfected the video, the video, musical video, right? Like
cinematic, man.
But pop culture, I could tell this person like Mike had things on lock. Everybody was moonwalking. Like, I feel like I'm trying to explain to my girls how big Michael Jackson was.
How many jackets everybody had?
Everybody had them zipper jackets.
Come on now.
With the one glove. Everybody moonwalk. When he did the moonwalk at the Motown 25, that was viral before there was viral. Everybody talked about it. They had to replay it a couple of times so people could see. I'm like, anyway, Michael Jackson had no influence on pop culture.
Can't even say that with a straight face. I'm saying looking at Bad Bunny now. 63 million listeners on Spotify, so that's good for him. And it's probably my fault. I don't know him, but I don't. And like you said, the cross-generational thing, we can name Frank Sinatra stuff. Your parents knew Beyonce stuff. So that's kind of the barometer. When the previous generation knows about Beyonce got her start in 99.
Right.
Your parents are way past the musical proms, but they knew who she was.
Yeah.
And could name songs she did. Frank Sinatra, did he die before we were born?
No.
When did
Frank Sinatra lived.
2000 did he die?
Let me see here.
But his musical
prime died in 1998.
Okay, so
but we knew of Frank Sinatra.
His musical prime was over before we were born. They were like doing the roast with Don Rickles by the time we were born.
That's right.
And those things, dude, those things are hilarious. I still go back.
The roast they do now aren't like those other ones.
No.
So, the roasts from way back then are a whole lot better. But man,
his musical prime was over before we were. We still know Old Blue Eyes. We all know, New York, New York. We can name some stuff from him. I can name nothing Bad Bunny did. I'm looking at La Jumpa, Mi Porto Bonito, Tormenta, Titi, Mi Giganto, Ojitos Lindos. That's his top 5 on Spotify. I do not know what I just said.
Trying to compare Spotify streams to album sales, I don't know. Because here's my point. This is why, trying to explain to my girls. Look, I got Apple Music. I'm going to listen to some stuff. That doesn't mean I'm going to go out and buy it. You remember what it meant to actually get cash in your hand and go to Sam Goody, go to Music Land or wherever, and actually have to go buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was
Columbia House. All
that wasn't just, I like it. That was, I got to go to the mall. I got to go. Mm-hmm. I remember I saved up first cassette tape I ever bought, Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cruel.
Mm.
That's taking it back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Also got NWA's After Police, but that's, we don't talk about that too much. I don't know, but Michael Jackson had no influence on pop culture. Vinny. But it started off, let me go back to it. It started off, he's only considered a legend due to his success.
Isn't everybody?
And so I had somebody respond to me, Muhammad Ali is only considered the greatest because he won a bunch. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
I want to be known as a legend because of my failures. Who?
What are you doing? Come on, man. We left a lot of children behind. But anyway.
Yeah. Another good show, man. I got to say real quick for friend of the show, George Massey, who we've had on a year ahead of me in school from Lynch, like myself. his dad and his uncle were in a car accident. George Massey Sr. and Benny Massey, his uncle, and they are both in Lexington. And George's in a lot of pain. They still call George Little George, just like I'm Little Melvin, because that's just how you do. But just want to give thoughts out to George, Big George, and Benny, and hope they can have a recovery. And hated to hear that they were in an accident there back at home and are still in Lexington. So just had to throw that had to mention that too before we got off here.
Yes, sir. Always fun. A lot of stuff. We'll have our Final Four recap. See if Adam wants to come on and talk about the Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes fun. I'm working to get friend of the show Tobin Anderson back on. He's tried to reach out, but they were on the Today Show last week. I was like, well, Today Show, okay. Good Morning America. I got
you. They got new contracts to sign.
Yeah. Moving on. I got you.
Gotta move, and they got a few things going on their plate, I guess.
Yeah, once you're back, we're going to Today's Show. Well, okay, all right, I got you. But
we understand.
But definitely, I'm still happy for them and everything, and that's awesome. That's a good point to the NCAA tournament. But always fun, baseball's coming back.
Oh man, rolling, man. They 18 out of 19.
Yeah,
swept Mississippi State. Took 2 out of 3 from Alabama. Struggled last night. Got down 4-0, and it's like that's all right. We're just gonna let a dude that used to play for Western and transferred to us hit a grand slam and give us the lead.
That's at Patrick Sparks.
That's right. So hey, stacking W's still yet, man. 21-3, I think. Hey.
Yeah, playing in South Carolina is off to like their best start in program history. That might be a big matchup whenever that is. We won't let the other Katie come on because when she come on, South Carolina win. But we'll do that if Kentucky wins. We'll invite her on if Kentucky wins that series.
Sounds like a plan. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate everybody that's going to watch this and listen. And like you said, we'll have another fun show next week and have some guests back in here. So till next time, man, TB, stay safe. Hope the wife feels better.
Yeah.
And we'll see everybody back next week on Cats Talk Wednesday. We'll holler at y'all there.